What about all the collector-friendly sports card price points out there? Guys, today it's going to be a card-heavy episode. We're going to look at a bunch of cards today and talk through some options out there for the singles buyers. Stick around. What's going on, sports card hobby family? It is another day. It is another sports card video. I hope that everybody is doing amazingly well. Talk cards and card prices, and what are we looking at this thing the right way? It's going to be interesting. Good conversation. I want to see your comments with your opinions down below. Huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com. Speaking of cards and where you can buy them, 35 plus million cards in the database, an absolute treasure trove, a lot of hidden gems over there on COMC, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, Marvel cards, non-sports, all sorts of goodness. You can grade cards through PSA directly through COMC. You can send them off to auction, all sorts of options. Make sure to check out my link down below to get started on your COMC.com journey. We have got the 23 Air Show coming up at the end of April in 2025. So we've got some time. It's going to take place in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where Michael Jordan played his college basketball. And this is a Michael Jordan focused collector show. It's going to be a really good time. I'm going to be there. Reach out to me if you're interested in exhibiting or attending. Also, don't forget, if you've never subbed with PSA before, $25 off your first submission. One card minimum. That's it. Send them one card, $25 off your order. I'm going to have links all down below for all this goodness, so make sure to check it out. All right, I had a big pickup here last night that I am very excited about. I don't have the card in hand yet, but it is an Alvin Kamara card. It is 2017 Optic Gold signed. It is the auto version, and it is a PSA 9. And part of what got me thinking about this particular episode is I was looking at this exact card, and remember, it's numbered out of 10. There are 4 PSA 9s on the pop report, and there are 2 PSA 10s. It was a few weeks ago, maybe last month. There was a PSA 10 that popped up at auction, and I missed out on it. I lost. It sold for $750. Actually, I thought pretty fair price. I missed it. This one that popped up last night was $500 for a PSA 9. And I just hit the bin button. And some people might say, like, man, well, maybe you could have sent him a message, try to negotiate and that sort of a thing. But again, when you're looking at a card that's numbered out of 10, there's 4 9s, there's only 2 10s. I kind of looked at it more of, I missed my opportunity last month at a good price. Because some might say, like, oh, well, if you look at the ratio between a PSA 9 and a 10, you should have paid more, like, oh, I don't know, $300 or $400, not $500 if the PSA 10 sold for $750. But when you have a card that's numbered out of 10, that is one of the better, really, rookie cards for that particular player, the formula doesn't really work out like that, at least not in my experience. You know, a lot of times I've had instances where if it's a card that's numbered out of 5, numbered out of 10, I might be paying very close to the same price for a PSA 9 that I would be a PSA 10, because you just don't see them pop up. A lot of it is timing and so forth. You know, so it's just really tricky. But again, kind of got the wheels turning a little bit. I've got a great viewer, Chris, if you do see this. He's always kind of talking more about like, hey, the PSA 10 premium is huge. That's why I go for PSA 9s or even PSA 8s in some instances, so that I can use that money to go and buy other cards. And yeah, I'm okay not paying that extra premium for the 10, even though, of course, yeah, you'd love to have only 10s. But your hobby dollar is only going to go so far. If you buy more 8s and 9s, you've got more funds out there to go and buy other things. It's a lot of what vintage collectors do as well, too. They'd much rather buy nice looking 2s and 3s than maybe spending up to get a 4, 5, 6, because then they have more money to go get other players, other cards of the player that they collect. And so this actually happened here where that 9 had popped up. I've got a Prism Gold, a True Gold, for Kamara and a BGS 9.5. This was one that, again, it just kind of popped up out of nowhere, going back maybe like a year ago. And I negotiated a little bit on it, but I was nervous negotiating. I ended up getting this card for $525 in a BGS 9.5. But again, I wouldn't have cared if this was a BGS 9 or an 8.5. It was just more about having a copy of a True Gold Kamara. And it just so happened to be a nice 9.5. And I was able to talk the guy down. I think he was at $750, and I got him down to $525 for the True Gold. And then I bought one of these. This is the Contenders Gold, auto numbered out of 10. And I can't remember exactly what I paid for it, but it was another kind of instance where I was at auction And I put a fairly sizable bid. I think I bid like, I don't know, I put like a $400 bid on it. And I think I feel like I stole the card. Maybe I got it for like 200 or 250 or something. I can't remember exactly what I got it for. But again, oh, it's a PSA 9. It's still a mint card to me. It's a mint card. You know, I'm not as worried about like, oh man, that's not a 10, that's trash. You know, look, when cards are numbered out of 10, I'll use another example here, Breeze. This was a card, again, I won this at auction. Maybe I got this one off of COMC. It had popped up. I think I got this one off of COMC for maybe like $60 or $70. Some people don't care for the die cut cards. Is this 2018? Yeah, 2018 Select. I actually really like these. I like those die cut cards. I had a Breeze that I had lost, and it's this exact card, 2016 Select, and it's the tie-dye version numbered out of 25. I just love the look of these cards. I got this one, the 10. I got a good deal on this one at about $150, $175. It just popped up and I was able to get a good deal on it. There was a 9 that popped up a week ago or something, and it was at like $11 or something on the bid, with a couple days left. And so I think I bid $40 and ended up selling for $45. And I'm thinking like, man, that's such a good price for a mint copy, a PSA 9 copy of this card. It's numbered out of 25. And again, guys, this is 2016. If you go, especially like prior to 2018, well, really, especially prior to 2020. 2020 is when like Select got really messed up because it went into retail as well as hobby for football. And so 2020 is really when like print runs start going ballistic. And then you've got Joe Burrow and you've got Jalen Hurts and Tua. You've got a lot of those guys in there. I think Justin Jefferson might be in there as well. You know, so higher print runs, more parallels and all that, 2020 and beyond. So I like looking at those Panini products, the Select, the Prism, and the Optic, kind of 2018 and prior. There was another card that I had once owned a while ago, going back a few years, and I want to own it again. I'm just not in a huge rush, but I'll show it up on the screen. It's a 2018 Silver Prism Steph Curry. I love the 2018 design. I really love 2017 and 18 Prism design for football, basketball. And that Steph Curry, that 2018 Silver Prism, it's sitting there, I think, buy it now for like $50, $56 or something like that. And it's a PSA 10 copy. If you go PSA 9 on that, it's probably $20. You know, 20, 25 bucks. That's basically like what the grading is. And it's a mint copy for Silver Prism. In football, they were short printed, the Silver Prisms in 2018. So there is kind of a fun chase there. I've got Breeze Silver Prisms from 2018. And, you know, Tom Brady, very expensive to get the Silver Prism out of 2018. But again, just kind of going back, if we look at like 2012 to 2018 is really like where I focus on my, the Panini products for football, basketball, Prism, Select, Optic. There's just so many cool options. And even for, you know, Alvin Kamara, he's a running back. So, of course, he doesn't get the same sort of love as a quarterback. I'm a huge New Orleans Saints fan. But it gives me opportunities to buy golds out of 10, you know, that are otherwise very expensive cards. If you're buying into GOATs, if you're buying into, you know, LeBron James, if you're buying into, you know, kind of the more heavily collected players, then yes, those are very expensive. But man, if you're just collecting, even, look, Steph Curry is an all-time great player. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won 4 titles. Probably the greatest shooter of all time to play basketball. And yes, while his cards are expensive, I'm not saying that they're inexpensive, there's still some really cool opportunities to collect nice cards, great aesthetically looking cards, and not break the bank under $100. Those were just kind of a few examples, but I showed that PSA 10 Silver Prism stuff on purpose because then the wheels get turning. If you want, you know, a 9 is still a mint card. And a lot of times you can barely tell the difference between a 9 and a 10. You know, you can probably get a 9 of that Silver Prism Steph Curry for, like I said, $20 or $25. Now apply that to any of the great players that you might like, you know, from those particular eras. And you can, of course, you can carry this over to Topps Chrome going back and, you know, all the other things. But it just shows that with new product being very, very expensive nowadays, we've talked about it, the singles market is the beneficiary. And not even just for the cards that I mentioned, but even the new product. You know, once a new product comes out and it hits and it's been out for a few weeks, you know, there's opportunities on the singles market. But if you're okay just going back and looking at players, looking to collect players that maybe aren't playing anymore, or they're at the tail end of their career. Steph Curry's still playing. He's still playing. There's still playing days cards, you know, coming out for Steph Curry, depending on what set you're looking for, what grade you're looking for. And you could argue, hey, look, you don't have to get like a lower tiered set. You know, Prism Silvers are going to be, I think that they're going to be cards that people enjoy over time. When we look back, especially from 2012 to 2018, maybe 19, and maybe 2020. But again, like I said, 2020 is really when they kicked it into high gear. There's just a lot more of the stuff. But the Prism Silver card in particular, regardless of player, I think is going to be one that over time people have a nostalgia for. You know, assuming, of course, that Fanatics doesn't buy out Panini in some fashion and keep, you know, Prism Silvers going. If that goes by the wayside and that just becomes unlicensed or whatever, however Panini's going to do it moving forward, I think that, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, collectors are going to be like, man, I remember the good old days. I remember the Prism products. That was really a fun time. And that'll be collectible stuff. But again, who knows? We will have to see. And the same really applies. I mentioned vintage cards earlier. If you're okay going lower to mid-grade and it's, you know, 10th year Willie Mays card, 7th year Willie Mays card, there are bargains to be had out there on the singles market. So I do think from a collector standpoint, if you don't need to have a PSA 10, if you don't need to have a high-grade vintage card, the world is your oyster right now. And so it's fun time, collector-friendly prices on the singles market. My friends, make sure to have an amazing day ahead. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.